So this is part two of my initial video that I did to give an idea of what I'm planning for the in-car computer. So the purpose of this is I realized I didn't give a whole lot of detail about the piece of hardware itself. So this is, normally I would do an inverter with a full desktop. I know there are some complexities involved with that, but I've already done this all before on two other cars, so I have all the complexities of that figured out. I've already worked out, cleaning up the sound, keeping the computer components from affecting audio quality, LCD monitors, all that kind of stuff is all figured out, but I don't have time. As of right now, I spent literally like a month and a half of my summer revamping one car and then realizing that car wasn't sufficient. So I went out and bought a car for doing this project on. I literally bought a car for this project. But because of how much time I spent over the summer not working and just doing this, I don't have time to take another 2 weeks out of my schedule to make this happen. So this is a simple computer to run my music and maybe some web browsing stuff, a few other things, until I am able to get around to it. So a couple of things that make this a really simple setup. This is just a basic Antec mini ITX case. It's like a NSK110, ISK110, or ISK250. I don't know. It's some ISK, NSK, something or another. So a couple of things I did with this. Obviously, as you can see, it's all mini components, even a low-profile fan here. The biggest thing that makes this a simple, easy-to-do setup, though, is, I'll hold this up here so you can see, this little toy right here. It's a simple, direct DC to DC 12-volt power supply. So that literally powers off your native vehicle electric. You can plug it into a lighter jack, or in my case, I was originally going to do a lighter jack, and I've actually got that set up here. But this was kind of a quick thing that I had been planning for one day to make my job a little bit simpler on that one day. But then I ended up not using it because I realized I hadn't accounted for the powering the LCD, which also I might add, most of the small LCDs are also DC 12 volt, which means generally you can also plug them directly into vehicle native 12 volt. So this is all literally, I'm gonna have two wires. The way this works, I'm used to dealing with PC power supplies, so I don't know how universal this is, but when we're working with computer components, yellow is DC 12 volt positive. Black is 12 volt ground and or negative. So I'm just used to that color coding. So that's what I did here. And it's literally two wires that come out. I mean, that's literally it. And that'll directly connect to anything. Or to, shall I say, anything electric in the car. This is a 90 watt, which obviously for a more powerful machine, that's not going to suffice. But for this basic piece of hardware, it's more than sufficient. Around, I don't want to rip the whole thing apart, but around the back side of the case, there are two 2.5-inch notebook sized drive bays, which notebook drives are readily available up to 3, 4, 5 terabytes, something like that now. I'm using a 2 terabyte for my music collection. I've got a 1 terabyte in there just cause, and I've got a 500 gig SSD as the boot drive, again, just cause I happen to have it sitting around. Fairly standard Intel Mini ITX board, 8 gigs RAM, which is probably a little more than I need, but Windows 10 kind of likes 8 gigs. So anyway, I wanted to give people a little more info on the piece of hardware itself and why this was what I'm doing for right now. Eventually, I'm going to have the alternator in the car upgraded to a higher amperage, in addition to putting in a 1,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, which I already have all the parts. Again, it just comes down to time. I don't have the time to do it right now. It's fairly time-consuming work to install this stuff. So, but if anybody has any questions as far as how to put something like this in your car, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm guessing that this stuff's going to start getting more and more common as people realize just how much capability this adds to your vehicle, especially when it comes to entertainment, music, stuff like that. Anyway, I hope everybody finds this informative, and thanks for watching the video.